Hello, folks. Welcome to Holding On with Holder, where I talk to interesting people about interesting topics. My name is Steve Holder, and I am your host. My guest today is Jonathan Amit. He has some interesting things to say about mental health doctors and nurses and his experiences. Welcome, Jonathan.
Hi.
Can you just give us a little bit of background? Who are you?
For the past few years, I've been mostly occupied with my chronic illness, and as you can see right now, I'm in bed currently since I become lightheaded very easily. So, before I fell ill in July 2018, I was pursuing a degree in college. I continued for a few semesters after falling ill, but eventually I had to leave after. Yeah.
So you live in Tel Aviv now, is that correct?
I moved here 4 months ago.
Well, I got interested in you, Jonathan, because some of the things you were putting on Facebook, and I thought it was things that maybe should be brought out into, spread around. And I thought maybe you would like others to see it as well.
Yeah, I agree.
So I noticed you talked a lot about anti-Semitism. Have you had a lot of experience with that?
I mean, as a child, no, I never really had any experiences with it until like people began calling me a hypochondriac, which I don't know how that started to be a stereotype, but I think that there were some like medical studies being done in the 1800s, like 200 years ago, on Jews, and they thought that Jews were like prone to worrying about health problems that weren't real. So it became like a stereotype.
Yeah. So let me just read some quotes that you put on Facebook, and I want to have you comment on them, okay? One is you said doctors at UCLA will torture people into insanity with baseless accusations of hypochondria unless they fear retribution from their patients. Can you comment on that, please?
What I have to comment on that is that, well, I was kind of taken aback when I first came to the hospital about how it seems like a lot of people there just have like a cruel streak in them where they enjoy like terrorizing even pediatric patients, like people under 18, just for amusement out of boredom or something.
Well, that's horrible. Uh, Another quote you have, so far, three doctors have followed through with illegally trying to inject me with drugs. I am extremely allergic, which could easily have killed me. A fourth doctor withheld my most important medicine, but never went through with ordering the forced injections. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, last year in 2020, around late March or late April, there was an incident where I was having a discussion with my parents about possibly going to Stanford to see the expert for my kind of neurological disorder I have. And I mean, I think that they became upset about that since they didn't really want to go through the whole ordeal of traveling all the way up there and seeing the specialist. So they began just accusing me of being kind of like mentally ill or worrying about a disease which wasn't really real. And so they called a pet team on me. They told them that I was having like a schizophrenic breakdown. They made up a lot of false information to try and encourage them to take me to the hospital. And yeah, so once I was admitted to the hospital in the psych ward, you're forced to stay there. Everything is locked. And unfortunately, they discovered there were a few medications which were like really, really important for my well-being. And if I didn't take these meds regularly whenever I needed them, I would begin suffering unbearable pain. And they enjoyed it.
Wow.
So they refused to let me have my pills because they thought it was funny to see me kind of go crazy from taking away all my medications.
Another thing that you said all the doctors I encountered made serious anti-Semitic comments, and my ancestry as a Jew was often the main conversation between us.
Yeah, so I guess that they think it's just really funny thing, and they think it's a joke, and they're always making like jokes about hypochondria and just trying to poke fun about all kinds of stereotypes about Jews. For example, at one point they were printing out like pictures of challah and other Jewish things and just taping it on the wall, making all kinds of jokes that weren't really funny about it.
That's that's horrible that they treated you that way. I see another thing you said. I believe that these doctors were racially profiling me as a hypochondriac due to my race as a Jew. It is a common stereotype about Jews that they are hypochondriacs or suffer from mental illnesses. I wasn't even aware of that stereotype. I didn't even know that existed.
Me neither. I didn't really know about it, but a few years ago, someone they showed me this video. It was from a movie in the 1970s with Woody Allen, and well, he looks very Jewish. So, in his role in the movie, he was supposed to play a Jew who thought that he had like all kinds of health problems, and they were making all kinds of jokes about it.
Hmm. See, another thing you said, the witch hunters at UCLA convicted me of witchcraft in 2015 without even running any testing or even speaking to me for more than 5 minutes at a time, and had me detained in a prison for convicted sorcerers and heretics. Now, that's a very interesting thing there. I didn't realize there was such a thing. So, can you comment on that?
Yeah. So when I was first detained there, I didn't really know that it was possible for people to just make some kind of accusation without running any blood tests or anything, and then just based off of their word alone, they can just lock them in a jail, force them on medications, and make all kinds of accusations. And so to me, it seemed kind of like just any witch hunt where someone would just accuse someone of something for no reason, and then they can use that to justify detaining them.
Yeah. Uh, so you said I've spent the past 6 years being ostracized and harassed by my parents who have become convinced I'm an evil sorcerer with the power to destroy them or create bad omens.
So it seems like, for the most part, my older sister is the ringleader in this, and well, you know how older siblings are, is they bully the younger ones. So I guess everyone just joins in on just bullying me just for their amusement.
Well, I've got three older sisters, so I know about that. Uh, but that's another thing that I really hate that you have to go through. And here's another thing you said, psychiatrists require zero evidence to make a diagnosis, so they can write anything they want in anybody's medical records.
So that one really surprised me. Is one time I had some, I don't remember exactly what we talked about in the conversation, but um, a nurse came into my room and then just had a normal conversation with me in my room in the psych hospital, and then later they went into my chart and they wrote a ton of stuff which never even happened, and they said that I was trying to commit suicide and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Why do you think they did that?
uh, I'm not sure, but they made just all kinds of false accusations. I mean, it seemed like we had a completely normal conversation, but then they went and made me out to be someone who was suicidal in order to have me put under the hold for even longer.
Yeah. Well, let's see, here's another thing. You said, I have continued to get worse while living alone here in a Tel Aviv apartment. I wanted to move to a nursing home like my grandma, or at least a hospice, because I'm sure that I would live longer in a hospice. The problem is my parents want me to die ASAP. They have put forth an enormous effort for the past 6 years, constantly trying to murder me and get rid of me in any way possible. So your parents are trying to murder you?
Well, once they discovered that I was kind of allergic to the injections of medications, I guess people realized that that was like a loophole where they could kill me by having me repeatedly injected, since I have I have general heart problems in general and shortness of breath. And so in combination with this allergy, it would not be good for my heart. And I guess eventually, if I was repeatedly injected,
Yeah.
I would eventually die.
And let's see, another thing you said, a psychiatrist in Pasadena confessed to me that he knew he was breaking the law. He knew I had a terminal illness, but he simply enjoyed murdering me because it made him feel really good.
Yeah, he was like smiling to me during that conversation and cracking a lot of jokes about like he knew that I had a really serious terminal illness, but I just thought it was funny to mess with me and to be abusive.
Hmm. See, another thing you said, yesterday I had to file a police report in Culver City against someone who admitted over the phone that their co-workers were all cooperating to get me killed with injections of psychiatric drugs. Now, how did that turn out?
I mean, I called them and I tried to file the report, and they told me I had to call a different number later in order to discuss something with the person who's an expert in like psychiatric matters
Yeah.
at the police department, and they never pick up the phone. I mean, I think he's only there for like 2 days a week. I never ended up calling back. But so yeah, they confessed over the phone that that their coworkers were plotting to kill me.
That's terrible. It really is. I hate that. See, another thing you said, I have been driven out of the country and relocated to Israel in order to avoid racist harassment from doctors, particularly psychiatrists, who were endangering my life and damaging my health with racist accusations of hypochondria. So you were driven out of the United States?
I mean, I left my living situation with my parents in Los Angeles, and I mean, I thought that would be a good idea. The only other place I could really go is to Israel, since I have some family here who's willing to help me.
Okay. And you said, so it's become clear my mother is just a psychopath. Her incentive to abuse and harass me is just sadistic enjoyment of torturing me and causing me suffering.
So they either think it's really funny and find it really amusing, or they've all developed like this sadistic streak, which it didn't really exist in the past. Like maybe 8-9 years ago, nobody was doing this. Everyone was just really nice to me, but then all of a sudden, everyone developed like this sadistic streak in them, where now they've all become very cruel.
And you think they're doing all this intentionally because they really want you dead?
I'm not sure. I'm like nine 9 years ago, or if you go back farther than 6 years ago, nobody was really behaving like this. It's only recent. But right now, people don't really, they always want me dead because, like, they said that I'm kind of being a parasite since I'm really sick.
Yeah.
They just think that I just shouldn't live.
Well, let's see, you also said my mom said the FBI contacted her and said they are investigating the psychiatrist who tried to kill me with an injection of drugs which cause angina and shortness of breath at UCLA.
So my mom said that, like, she said that some detective or something at UCLA had contacted her apparently, and that it might have been, yeah, like the FBI and stuff. That's what she said.
Oh, so you're not sure it's the FBI?
Like a detective at UCLA or something. I think she's mentioned later that it was.
Okay. And you said the pediatricians at UCLA have been assisting my parents with murdering me for 6 years. So they've been trying to kill you for six years?
6 years ago, when I was like a kid in the 10th grade, I went to the emergency room and I told them, like, immediately, I'm pretty sure this might be a terminal disease. And then they all pretended I was crazy, thought it was funny, and started forcing me on pills. And then I realized they were probably trying to kill me. And for the past 6 years, I've been aware that they are.
Yeah.
I've been waiting 6 years for it to eventually stop.
And let's see, you also said murdering anybody with a brain condition is considered completely normal and acceptable. Now, is that something you heard somebody say straight out, or is that a belief that you have?
Just like I didn't hear anyone say that, but it just seems like people think it's a completely normal, acceptable thing, and
Yeah.
that you think that people say a lot of things about just people with dementia in general, like elderly people, that they should just be euthanized.
Yeah.
So some people told me.
So you said children psychiatrists seem to be the most brutal criminals in medicine because if a Jewish child's parents are in agreement with the abuse, they are untouchable to any legal retaliations. Now, is that based on your experience, or have you heard of other things also with other people?
It just seems like in my experience that, like, if you ask them if they're concerned about being sued for illegal activity, I mean, I can't afford a lawyer. They know I can't afford a lawyer. And I know that my parents are in agreement with the abuse. So there's not really much I can do to stop them.
Yeah.
I mean, people who aren't pediatricians, I guess, there's a more real concern about getting sued.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to keep you long, Jonathan. I know it's a struggle for you to have to talk. So I'll just ask you one more question, then I'll let you go, okay? Another thing you said is as a patient of a pediatrician at UCLA, it is necessary to be feared by your doctors in order to survive. Psychiatrists and psychologists have no respect for the rights of weaklings who have no power to stop them and have no power to resist their crimes.
I think ideally you should make it well known to your physician that you have a lawyer, and that, like, maybe just give them the card of your lawyer, because they will just break the law intentionally with everyone knowing what's going on just because they think there's nothing anyone can prove,
Yeah,
and that they're not afraid of lawsuits or legal action.
yeah. Well, Jonathan, I certainly hope that things get better for you, and I wish you all the best. Thank you for talking to me. Is there anything else you want people to know about what's going on with you? Okay. Well, thank you again for coming on. Now, like I said, I don't want to bother you any further. So thank you again. And I wish you all the best. You'll be in my thoughts and prayers. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Jonathan. Bye bye.